Welcome back to episode 11. In episode 10 I stripped down the front subframe with the intention of taking all the parts to be blasted and coated. But because the whole country is in lockdown, it's not possible yet to take all the parts to be sorted, so I decided to have a go at cleaning up the top arms myself. Now I upload my videos as a way of recording progress purely for interest, and none of my videos are intended as how-to videos due to my lack of experience in motor mechanics, but I can't stress this point more than in this particular video. I probably made this whole process look far more difficult than it should be, and lack of knowledge, experience and availability of the correct tooling meant that I struggled from start to finish on this part of the project. There are definitely better videos out there than mine if you're looking for the correct way to do the following task shown on this video, but on the flip side, regardless of being clueless and not having the correct tooling, I did get there in the end. So the first job was to clean off years of mud and grit and see if I could suss out what was what. I removed the shaft, which came out real easy, but then saw that at each end of the arm was a roller bearing of sorts. I'm pretty sure that the Haynes manual said just to insert a drift through and punch out the bearings, but as I found out, it's not that simple. I did later find out that there is a specialised tool for this sort of situation, and if I had more of these to do I'd certainly invest in one. But I didn't have the tool, and being in lockdown it meant that getting access to one would be difficult. So firstly I tried a piece of wooden dowel to use as a drift, but this wasn't strong enough, plus it wasn't able to get behind the bearing to force it out. I then had a crazy idea to wrap a window fixing bolt inside a piece of rubber and put that into the bearing so that when tightened I could drift it all out. That didn't quite work, but working on the same theory I used a bobbin sander bit and eventually drifted out the bearing. Unfortunately that idea didn't work for the second bearing, so I tried to break it into pieces in the hope that it would come out. It wouldn't, but what I did manage to do was use part of the bobbin sander bit with a washer to sit behind the bearing and drift it out that way. The bolt for the shock absorber was stuck solid. After several attempts to remove it, I decided to leave it for now. However, I did get it out later on by pure fluke. It's something that I didn't get on camera, but basically I whacked it really hard with a hammer and it flew out. The grease nipple came out with ease and wasn't even hand tight, although with it all being gunked up, it did require the spanner to get it out properly. Surprisingly difficult to remove was the plastic cup that the knuckle sits into. This took a lot of poking around but did eventually come out. To clean the arm I initially gave it a clean with a Brillo pad and covered it in gunk. Then after a wipe down I gave it a once over with a wire wheel attached to my battery drill and used another bobbin sander bit to clean the hole for the shock bolt. Then after a quick wipe down I gave it 2 coats of smooth black hammerite. I believe there's better alternatives out there, but this is all I had available, and there are many people who seem to swear by the hammerite, so I'm hoping that it's okay to use as a finish. Having done one side, I thought the second arm would be now straightforward. That wasn't to be the case. The second arm presented a whole host of new problems. I'm guessing that when you've done a few of these and come across every scenario, they get easier. But having only done just one, I'm facing new issues each time and having to find solutions with the only tools that I have to hand. This knuckle joint wouldn't come out, and I tried all sorts before eventually applying brute force with the help of some mold grips. The plastic cut wasn't for coming out either. The arm looked really neglected and was full of rust. The grease nipple was broken, so I'm guessing it hadn't been greased in a while, and the arm, the bearings and the rust had pretty much seized up, making removal of the parts very difficult, and I gave it a soaking gunk in the hope that it had helped free everything up. The bearing was stuck solid, and I'm not convinced the bearing puller would have worked here. In trying to bash out the bearing as before, it resulted in several thick washers bending, so I knew this was well and truly stuck. But with nothing to lose, I locked the bolt in place with a washer behind the bearing and filled the space with milliput. The idea was that the epoxy would set solid into the bearing and allow me to bash out the bearing with a lot of force. It worked really well, and now it was out, all I had to do was clean it up and paint it as I did with the other arm. And here they both are after 2 coats of hammerite. I may have 1 or 2 places to remove paint from when fitting the necessary parts, but for now the paint is preventing the rust from forming, so I'll leave them in until I have the bits that I need. There was a lot of satisfaction doing these myself, and I learnt a great deal along the way. It would have been interesting to see how the bearing puller would have performed, especially on the seized bearing. Definitely something I'd invest in if I had more to do, but at the end of the day they're both done and now ready for assembly. It's not the way I'd planned to do them, but hopefully the end result is comparable. Prior to making the videos on YouTube, I worked as a firefighter for nearly 20 years, serving my community and helping to save lives and promote the fire safety message. Unfortunately, an accumulation of many upsetting scenes became too much for my mind to cope with, and after years of failed therapy I was retired from the service on the grounds of ill health and signed off medically from any employment. To keep myself busy, both body and mind, I developed an interest in woodworking and car mechanics, and with already having a hobby in filming and music, I combined my interests and started making videos here on YouTube, filming, editing and composing my own music for my woodworking and car restoration channels Smugwood and Smugwood Mini. Unfortunately, to produce such videos comes at a price, and with minimal funds after being retired from employment, I've turned to Patreon to see if there is additional support out there which could allow me to continue making the woodworking and car restoration videos. In return for support, there are various levels which are explained in more depth at the Patreon link below, but includes the chance to win one of my YouTube projects made throughout the year, and also inclusion into random prize draws open to patrons only. In addition, I'd like to thank everybody who already subscribes to my channels, or watches, comments, likes and shares them, as it all goes to help support my channels, and for that I'm really appreciative. It's my hope that I can continue making the videos for the foreseeable future. Thanks once again for your continued support.